Hey everybody, it's your girl Oni, and today I'm going to teach you how to make this Juliet top. It has big sleeves and flows in the wind when you walk. I love it for spring, but it also looks great in the summer. And just a side note, this is for advanced crocheters only, so beware. So guys, first things first, sorry about this setup. It is cold and rainy, as you guys are going to hear throughout this video. I know I usually film with natural lighting, but today I couldn't do it, and I really want to get this video out for you guys, so I just put on a bunch of lights and hope this works. Here are the materials you're going to need. I'm using this yarn. Details about it will be on my blog. Some scissors. I'm using a size 5 and a 3.75. If you don't have a 3.75, a size 4 will work just fine. And then I'm using a reference shirt. So let's practice this stitch pattern first so you guys know how we're going to do this top. For practice, let's chain 9. For our stitch, you want a multiple of 3 plus 4. So 9 is a multiple of 3, 2, 3, 4. Here's 9, and then we're going to do 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now go into that 4th stitch from your chain or from your hook. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to do 1 double crochet. And then we're going to do 1 more double crochet in that same stitch. There you go. Now we're going to skip 2, 1, 2, and we're going to go into that 3rd one. And then we're going to skip 2 and do a full fan right there. You guys are going to hear me complain about how hard it is to crochet in this position all through this video. It is one of the hardest things I have to do, but it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Anyway, so after we do our fan, we are going to skip 2, 1, 2, and then right here at the literally the very last stitch, we are going to do a single double crochet. By the way, can you guys hear that lightning? It's crazy loud. Anyway, so now we're going to chain 3. We're going to turn, and since we have a single double crochet, we need a 5-point fan right here. A 3-point fan, sorry. 3-point fan right here. To skip 2. Oh my goodness. You're supposed to skip 2, and you're supposed to do a single double crochet in that 3rd stitch. I don't do that. I go ahead and just put a single double crochet in that space. You can put it into the stitch, but I'm watching Netflix and I don't got time, girl. Anyway, so again, you're supposed to skip 2 and go into that stitch and make another full fan. There you go. And then skip 2 and go into that 3rd one and do a single double crochet. I know it's a little bit blurry right now. Hold on. We have completed 2 rows. Chain 3. To your fan. Do a single crochet in that chain space. There you go. So practice that until you're comfortable, and then join us while we make our top. Also, just a note, this pattern is more for advanced crocheters. If you have not made a sweater or any type of crochet top with sleeves, I suggest you go on to a more professional pattern, do those first, and then come back here so you have an idea of the shaping and the sizing and the techniques we're going to need to make our top. But without further ado, we're going to start and chain with our size 5mm hook. And I flipped my reference shirt to the back, and we are going to crochet the length of the thickest part of your shirt, and that's going to be right here just under the armpits. I know some reference shirts are going to have some kind of shaping right here, as you can see, since I can't put this totally flat, but as you can see, my shirt starts to incline in the center to make shaping for the waist. Don't do that. Do it just from the thickest part. And with this stitch pattern, we are going to do a multiple of 3 plus 4 chains, right? So for me, that's going to be 60 chains, and then we're going to add 4 to the very end. And this part you just have to play around with it. I used 50 at first, I used 53, none of those were working, and so 60 turned out to be the best bet. So with your 5mm hook, we're just going to chain 60. Here's our 60, and then chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There you go. And so we have 64 chains. Switch to your 3.75mm hook, and I hope you can see we're going to go into the 4th stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to make a double crochet. So 1, 2, 3, 4. There's our first one, and we're going to make one more. And then you're going to skip 2. There, that should make it easier to see. So we did our 2 double crochets, and then we're going to skip 2, and in that third one we're just going to do 1 double crochet. 1, 2, 3. It's really hard for me to see, guys. I'm looking through my camera and trying to crochet. Now we're going to skip 2 again, and we're going to do a full fan. So 1, 2, 3, going to that third one. We're going to do 2 double crochets. So we're going to repeat that. Do 1, skip 2, do 1 double crochet, skip 2, do a full fan, and I'll see you at the end. So here we are, guys. We're all finished. Now I forgot to tell you guys, none of y'all would, or you guys shouldn't know how many rows you're supposed to do, and that's okay. You're not supposed to know how many rows you're supposed to do. So if you're at row 20 or 30, you know, it's totally fine. What happens is it's not the back that determines how many rows you do, it's the front. So you'll only know how many rows until you get to the front, and I didn't want to start out with the front because I really wanted you guys to understand the stitch pattern, and the front has so many increases, and it would do nobody any good if we started out this tutorial with increases. So I ended up doing 31 rows. You can see the fit here. There is a little bit of excess. Here's the shirt, and my crochet back does go over, but that's totally okay. This is a wrap top, so you can literally wrap it to form fit your body. Just make sure that it's not a whole bunch of excess, you know. 60 stitches was definitely the right choice here. And so any of y'all who are still on the back, what I recommend is leaving your ball of yarn still attached to your project, and then after you finish the front, come back to it. If you would like to cut the stitch, that's totally fine too, any way you work, but just know that even me, I'll be back here to finish up the back. So here we are at the front. Sorry about this lighting. It gets worse and worse as the day goes on. It's still raining. But anyway, For your shirt, I hope you picked a v-neck because a v-neck is the best way to determine when to start decreasing. So for a regular shirt, do you see how it kind of curves right here, gets wider, and then it curves back out? We we can replicate that in crocheting, but we're trying to keep this tutorial as simple as possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the widest point right here, and then I'm going to get the other end right here. You can include the collar if you want, but I did not. So that's actually how wide we want our the start of our side to be. It's this length. And for me, that length was 15. Remember, a multiple of 3, and then plus 4. 15 plus 4, 19 stitches. So we're going to start, and we're going to start decreasing. For me, I started decreasing right around here. So here we are. I chained 19 with my 5mm hook. Switch over, and we're going to do our regular stitch pattern. 1 2 3 4, going to the 4th one. I mean, you guys should be pros at this right now. Do our 3-point fan, skip 2, go into that 3rd one. I'll see you at the end. So here we are, we're finished. I turned the brightness down so you can see. White on white is not a good idea. The more you know. So anyway, I did 15 rows with my chain 4, and it fits just about right. There is a little bit excess, totally fine. Nothing is completely precise in crocheting. So this first row symbolizes the very top of our shirt. And so we won't start increasing until we get around here. And I'm going to see how many rows that takes. Here we are. So I ended up doing 4 rows. It starts from the top of here, and then we can see that our shirt starts to decrease right along here, so we're right at the right point. For your shirt, try to do a minimum of 3 rows at least, even if your shirt maybe starts decreasing, I don't know, at the first row. Starts increasing at the first row. Try to incorporate a minimum of 3 rows. And I say that because these 4 rows right here, we're going to add the same things to our back. So here's the back of my shirt, the one that we just did. And we're going to add 4 rows here and 4 rows here. So however number of rows you did, remember those number of rows because we're going to add it to our back. So we're going to start increasing. I'm on my 5th row, and keep doing your stitches the exact same way until the very end, and I'll tell you what to do. So here we are at the end. We want to increase at the end of this row, and we are going to be doing a single double crochet. So I have 2 rows only when I am increasing in a row, and this is what makes this pattern an advanced pattern because it can get confusing. I'll write out the words to this on my blog so you can have the written form if you need to, and I'll try to explain this as best as I can. So my 2 rules are, if it ends in a single double crochet, just like mine, you are going to do 4 double crochets in the last stitch. But if yours ends in the 3-point fan, so let's pretend we were increasing here. If yours ends in a 3-point fan, then you're going to do actually a 5-point fan with the chain, and then you're going to add another single double crochet in that same stitch. So I have I'm going to do just the regular 4 double crochets because mine ends in a single double crochet. So 1, oops, let me get more yarn. There you go, and you can see it's starting to increase already. And don't worry, I'll show you an example with if any of you guys ends in a 3-point fan. No matter what you end up with, you're going to be doing both of those types of increases just because your rows are going to change. So you're going to end in different things. So now that we've increased, we're just going to do this row as normal. Now what I recommend, and if I can find one, so what I recommend is putting just some kind of marker to remind you not to increase on this side. Okay, we are only going to increase at the end of this row. So I'm going to do this as normal. So here's why I increase the way I do, and there's probably way easier ways to increase, but I increase the way I do because you have a fan right here, and technically you have a single double crochet, and then you have a 3-point fan. You see how that works? So technically you should just be looking at this as a 3-point fan. If you have a 3-point fan, then you know you just skip 2 and go into that third one, if I can see it, and you're going to do a regular 5-point fan. There you go, a regular 5-point fan, and that's technically going to be under 1, 2, 3. That's going to be under your single double crochet. Easy as pie, and you are able to do the rest of your pattern as normal. Here we are at the end. I'm just going to chain 3. I didn't do any increases on this row because that's our non-increase row, but we are getting to this row, so I will be increasing on that row, on that side of the row. Okay, it's time to increase, and this is great because I can show you the other example. We would have ended in a 3-point fan, but because we're increasing on this row, as you can see, we are going to do a 5-point fan in that third stitch, 5-point fan, and then add one more double crochet. So you should have 1, 2, your chain space, 3, 4, 5. Isn't that crazy? And you can see that it's starting to increase beautifully. Again, I'll have the written form of this on my blog if you are still confused. Now you are going to literally repeat those. That's all you do. You're going to do as normal. So if you look here, we have a 5-point fan, and then we have a single double crochet. So you know when you do a single double crochet, you are going to do a 3-point fan. And then you're going to skip 2, or we can go straight, yeah, or we can go straight into that chain space. And we can do this as normal. We have a single double crochet, so I can go ahead and do a 5-point fan. And that's it. You're going to do this row as normal, chain 3, figure out what you have to do if you're ending in a single double crochet or a double crochet, increase accordingly, and I will see you when it's at the length you want. And I almost forgot to determine the length you want. You're going to have to wear your shirt, and then you're going to have to mark where exactly you want the pin to be, and that pin is going to mark how long, literally from the tip of here to the bottom of here, that's how long you want your top to be. Here it is, here's the side, and I ended up doing 35 rows to reach the number of to reach the length I wanted on my shirt. And so I know for my top I'm going to have to do 35 rows on the back. So go back to the back side, and we know that we need a total of 35 rows on our back, but also remember that we did 4 short rows from our side, and we're going to have to add those short rows to our back. So incorporating the short rows and the rows that you need to obtain 35 or whatever number of rows you want to do, you're going to have to add these two. So just easy math, 4 plus 31 rows is going to be our 35 total. Easy as pie. As you can see, I already did one side of the short row, and all I'm going to do is cut my string. Well, I think I already cut it, but go ahead and restart and do a total of for me it was 15 chains. You don't have to chain anymore, just go inside here and do your pattern for 4 rows. Now we can move on to the sleeve, and the sleeve is one of the hardest parts in this whole thing. I made a little bit of a replica here so you can see. The sleeve is going to be worked in 3 parts. We're going to start at this very top and work our way up, cut the string, come down to the bottom, stitch those 2 parts together, and then work in the round for the bottom part. You might be wondering, hey Onyi, why don't we work in the round throughout the whole thing? Look, I don't like increasing in the round, especially with this stitch pattern. For number 1, I worked on it flat, and same as number 2. But number 3, we actually don't increase even though it's worked in the round, and that makes it so much easier for me. It just gets really complicated. If you would love to do that, that's your party, but we're going to do it this way. So let's make this as painless as possible. First things first, you're going to measure the part of your arm right above the elbow. This is where the top of your X's are going to be. Mine came out to be about 40 stitches, but we need a multiple of 3, so I went down to 39 stitches. But then we also have to chain 2, so I'll be chaining 41 stitches in total. Also, make sure you use your 5mm hook to do this. Skip 1 stitch and then single crochet in all of the stitches going down. Don't forget to use a stitch marker. At the end of the row, chain 3. We're going to turn and we're going to do our 3-point fan right there. Now continue the pattern as normal all the way to the end of the row. Now I'm at the end, and so the rule for the sleeve is we're going to increase at the end of every row. So you should be a pro at this. So I ended with a single double crochet right here. So I am going to put 3 more into that same stitch until I have a total of 4. Oops, I'm sitting on my yarn. You go, 1, 2, 3. We're going to turn. We're going to put a single double, we're going to skip 2 and we're going to put a 5-point fan right there. And go on to the rest of your pattern as normal. One last time, we're going to end with a single double crochet right there. And we're at the end of the row, so we're going to increase, and I'm going to put 3 more double crochets. And we okay, and I'll see you when I'm done. So I'm all done, and I've done about 6 rows. No, I have done 6 rows of pure increases at the end. And the reason I stopped at 6 rows is because if you get your reference shirt and flip it, this is about the same size and length as this part of your shirt right here, and that's what you want because this is where your arm is going to input through. So if yours has matched the same size, then what we're going to do is we're going to keep going, but we're not going to do any more increases. You heard it right. No more increases. Just do the pattern as normal. It should come up straight, and I'm going to do it for a total of 18 rows. Here it is, a total of 18 rows total, and mine came out to be about 13 inches wide and about almost 9 inches long. Let me make sure I measure that. Yeah, 13 to 9. And now I'm ready to do the X's. As you can see, I've already cut my string and pulled through, and we're just going to flip it over like this. If you remember correctly, I chained about 41 stitches, but we also had to skip one so we could do the single crochets. So I should have, well, I do have a total of 40, and that's okay. And I'm saying this because when we do the X's, some of y'all, including me, are not going to have enough room to do an even amount of X's, and I will show you what I do to combat this. I'm just saying this early because I know some of you already know this pattern, and it's going to be really frustrating when you have that dilemma at the end. I put my blue mouse pad here so you guys can really see my stitches, but basically what I'm about to do is I'm going to join my yarn into that very first stitch, and we're just going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and now we're going to yarn over 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then in that very same stitch we're going to put our hook in there. We're going to pull up, and we're going to pull through 2, and then we're going to pull through 2, and now we're going to yarn over 2 more times. 1, 2, and then we're going to skip 2 stitches. So 1, 2, and then into that third one we're going to put our yarn in, our hook in, and pull through 2, pull through 2, and pull through 3. Now pull through the rest of them. And now we're going to chain 2, and you should do this very loosely because if you remember, we're going to start on the other side of the sleeve and we're going to use our bigger hook. So we need to make sure our big hook can go into these stitches right here. Now we're going to yarn over twice. 1, 2. We're going to go into the middle, pull up, pull through 2, pull through 2, and pull in through the last 2. And there you have it. You have an X. Just to be safe, make sure you put a stitch marker so you know exactly where you started. And now we're going to do our next X, and I'm going to yarn over 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going into the next available stitch, and that's right there. We're going to pull up, we're going to pull through 2, we're going to pull through 2, we're going to yarn over twice, we're going to skip 2, 1, 2, and going to that third one, going to pull up, going to pull through 2, pull through 2, and then pull through 3. Now pull through the rest. There you go. And then chain 2, 1, 2, yarn over twice, 1, 2, we're going to go in the middle, pull up, pull through 2, pull through 2, and pull through the rest. And there you have it, your second X. And it's that easy. Just follow the pattern all the way down, and I'll see you at the end. Here we are. So this is what I was talking about not having enough room at the end. As you can see, I only had enough room to skip 1 instead of skipping 2 like I usually do. So that's totally okay because this side and this side are going to be stitched up and they'll be at the back of your arm, and I don't think it's going to mess up the look too much. I mean, no one should be able to notice, absolutely no one. So I'm just going to chain 1 instead of chaining 2 loosely, and we're going to yarn over, and we're just going to finish up our X as normal. So breaking news. I counted thinking I would have 40 here, but I actually have 39. And I think maybe it's because I did something here, but that doesn't matter because we can easily fix that. So remember when I just chained one like literally a minute ago? I'm actually going to go ahead and chain two just so I can have that 40 stitches back. So I skipped one, but I'm going to chain two instead. Oops. Oops, that's the wrong one. 1, 2, and then I can go ahead and finish my X. There, now I have 40. Now leaving a long tail, cut your yarn. Actually, I have several long tails. I don't know which one I actually need. But anyway, we're just going to chain one and we're going to pull through. And now finally we can go ahead and take a yarn needle and we're going to stitch it up along this side. Okay, I'm all done now, and as you can see, I stitched it up and I turned it inside out so I wouldn't even be able to see the seam anymore. And now we're going to start working on the round. So in the very first stitch where my stitch marker is in, we're going to join our yarn. Now we're going to chain one, if it will let me. There. And now my plan of action is we're going to put 2 single crochets in every other stitch, and since I have 40, that's going to have me end up with 60 stitches in total. So ignoring our chain one, we're going to go back into that same one. We're going to make a single crochet, and we're going to put our stitch marker there so we know exactly where we started. And so since we did one there, we're going to put 2 in the next one. And this is where chaining loosely really comes in handy. As you can see, I didn't do this one as loosely as I would have liked. There, it took a little bit of a struggle, but I got my first single crochet. Then we're going to go back in there, single crochet, and then we're going to go into our next one, and we're going to do 1 single crochet, then 2, then 1, then 2, and I'll see you at the end. I finished up and I counted. I have a total of 60. Make sure you have a multiple of 3 no matter how much you decide to do personally. But now I'm just going to slip stitch into my stitch marker right here. Pull that through, and now we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And now to start off, we're going to do a 3-point fan in the exact same place. Ignore the chain. I will say it again, ignore the chain. So I'm just going to put my 3 double crochets in there. And now we're going to skip 2 and do our pattern as normal, and I'll see you at the back. I'm at the end now, and as you can see, I ended with a single double crochet, and I have 2 spaces left before I get back here at my chain. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to slip stitch right on the very first chain I did. Now we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and now we're going to actually turn this way. Yep. And so we can see that our chain from here, and this is our chain, and we're going to actually go right here, and we're going to do a 3-point fan right on top of there. I should really be using stitch markers. Don't forget to use stitch markers, guys. So there you go. And then you can go ahead and do your pattern as normal. Go into the middle of that 5-point fan and la di da di da. I'm at the end of this row, and as you can see, I've done my fan, and now we're going to skip to 1, 2, and we're going to do one single double crochet, and then we're going to go on the very top of that chain. I hope that's the top. This is why I use stitch markers. And we're going to make a slip stitch, and we're going to we're going to chain 3 and turn, and that's it. You're just going to keep on going. As you can see, we'll do a fan, and we're going to be doing a single crochet over here, and I will see you when we're done. Okay guys, so here's all our parts. As you can see, I finished both of my sleeves. I'll have the measurements of how many rows I ended up doing on my blog, and the length it came out to. But as you can see, I have the fronts, and here's the back, and the back has the short rows on here. And that's it. All I'm going to do is stitch it up. When you stitch it up, don't forget to leave the same amount of space here and here so your arms can come through. And that's it. After that, I'm going to show you how to do the tassels at the end, and we're going to have our top. Breaking news, don't mind my messy room please, but there's a problem. The top is cute, but it falls off my shoulders. I hate that. To fix it, clamp a piece of your shoulder closed on both sides and tie it up with a string. Take it off and flip it. Sew the 2 clamp sides shut with the string. Be careful here. Now you have a weird triangle. Sew that triangle down and look, no bulge and you can't even see it. Do it on both sides. I ended up sewing the triangle on one side of the shoulder because it wasn't cooperating. Anyway, ta-da, a cute top that won't slide down your shoulders. Hey guys, sorry about that. So to do the end ties, all we're going to do is chain 12 like I've already done. Then we're going to go into the 6th stitch, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we're going to do a double crochet. We're going to chain 1, and we're going to skip a stitch and go into the next one over. We're going to do another double crochet and then chain 1 and keep repeating that to the end. I'm at the end and I'm going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to go into that space and do a double crochet. Chain 1, same thing, go into that space and do a double crochet. And that's it. At the end of the row, chain 4, and I did this for about 50 rows. My tassel ends were pretty long, and that's that. And here is what it's supposed to look like once you've sewn it on. As you can see, I've worn it a couple of times, so mine is a bit stretched out compared to the ends where it's not as stretched, but that's totally normal. And it looks really great, and I'm very excited that you guys were able to stick it out this long with me. And that's it. Thank you guys so much for doing my very amateur pattern. I have everything written down on my blog. Feel free to ask any questions you may have. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you very soon.